Hello, once more, and welcome back to my channel, back here on YouTube, doing my 2022 NFL predictions. We're finally in the playoffs after 18 long weeks. My personal season record to finish the year out in the regular season, 82, 42, and 1, so 40 games better than last year. 40 games better this year, and last year I went 67 and 60 last year, which is a pretty good mark as well. But finished with 20 plus correct, less than 20 plus more correct picks this year, but getting into the wildcard weekend. 6 matchups this week to talk about and fun matchups to watch. Who's moving on and who's going home. With that being said, it's time to do our wildcard week predictions for the NFL prediction videos for 2022 and 2023. So, that being said, let's get started, everyone. Let's get started. There we go. So, this first matchup coming up between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks coming up in Seattle and coming up in San Francisco on Saturday afternoon. This is the first of 6 matchups. The one thing I like about this matchup, it's a divisional matchup, and 3 of the matchups this week are divisional matchups this week. Teams that play in the same division. Starting out with this one, we have the 49ers, who've been without Jimmy Garoppolo for the last few weeks. Brock Purdy, who is perfect on the year, and the 49ers, who are so good, number 2 seed overall. And the Seahawks is number 7 seed coming in with Geno Smith in his first year without Russell Wilson. Everyone thought the Seahawks would be bad this year. Instead, Seahawks did better than expected. Made it to the playoffs as number 7. They're playing a division rival in the 49ers. And the one issue I have in this matchup is the 49ers side is, how's Brock Purdy going to handle the postseason game, his first game in the postseason? And if the 49ers win with him at quarterback, should they keep him instead of going back to Jimmy Garoppolo? If Jimmy Garoppolo comes back healthy, I think you keep what's working. Brock Purdy for San Francisco was Mr. Irrelevant. And he's one of the 2 quarterbacks in this playoff year, 1 of 2 starting quarterbacks that I know of that have been announced as starters for this weekend was drafted in the 7th round or later. That's the first time that we've had 2 7th-round picks starting at quarterback. I like the 49ers in this matchup, and I definitely think they get the win because their offense is too good, and they can get the ball downfield. They have tight ends. They have receivers. They can do stuff with their running backs. Deebo Samuel could step in and run the ball a bit. And I'm taking the 49ers to get the win at home on Saturday. Moving on to our next matchup in Jacksonville. On Saturday night, Jaguars, Chargers. Trevor Lawrence, year number 2, 9-8. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, 10-7 as a wild card. This matchup is one of the matchups where each team has a 50% chance to win, first of all, and each team knows what their destiny looks like. It's a matchup where the Jaguars went from last to first in the division, and the Chargers and Justin Herbert in year number 3 make it in as a wild card. If there's going to be a wild card team that wins this week, this is one of the wild card teams I think that wins in the Chargers and Justin Herbert, just based on what they have offensively. The defense, I don't know much about them. The Chargers' offense is pretty good. The Jaguars, I have lots of questions about this team, how they get here at 9-8. They barely made it. They started bad, but then they won their last 7, I think, to make it to 9-8. And the Jaguars are a playoff team. But with Trevor Lawrence, is this the next coming of Joe Burrow? It's possibly. That's what's going to happen, I think. I think this matchup's going to be who has the ball last, though. Whoever has the ball last in this matchup is going to win the game in the wild card round. I think the Jaguars have the better chance at that right now. And I think the Jaguars playing at home have the advantage, and that's why I'm going to take the Jaguars, unfortunately, over the Chargers. I thought the Chargers were going to make it at first. The last couple days I've been thinking about this one. Thinking, is the Chargers-Jaguars? Who's going to win it? I thought the Chargers could win it, and I think they still could. Last year when I did the wild card round predictions, I went 6-0 in the first wild card round last season. This year we'll see what happens. So far I'm taking the Jaguars in this one here on Saturday night. Moving on to the Sunday games. In the Sunday slate, we have 3 good games. Unfortunately, I'll miss all 3. I'll miss the first two at least. Might be able to see the last one. So this next matchup, to start the game on Sunday, the storyline that's everyone's talking about, the Buffalo Bills against the Dolphins. Josh Allen and the team, the Bills, I predicted way back when, all the way back at the beginning of the year, I said this Bills team is going to win the Super Bowl. And there's last year when the Rams made it to playoffs, I think I predicted the Los Angeles Rams to win every game, even the Super Bowl. And I'm going to start that again this year. The trend, when you predict something at the beginning of the year and you think it's going to happen, you have to continue picking that trend. I think the Bills are that dominant team. I think they win this matchup because the Dolphins, they're starting Skylar Thompson, a rookie who was drafted in the 7th round just like Brock Purdy. And he hasn't taken a snap that I know of yet. And Jacoby Brissett, who I think is going to be the backup in this game because he's hurt, I know, as well. He'll be the backup to Thompson most likely. And Tua Tagovailoa is out with a concussion. But I think the Bills get the win. And, when you say you're going to commit to something and the team that you think is going to win a Super Bowl, you have to commit to that team. And I'm sticking with the Bills because the Bills have had interesting stories the last few weeks. And I think that continues this week on Sunday. And I think the Bills get the win in Buffalo in the wild card round. Which takes us to our next matchup in Minneapolis between the Vikings, Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins, and the New York Giants. Now, let me think about this Vikings team real quick. How they got here with Kirk Cousins this year, how their season started, beating the Packers this year, winning games. This Vikings team reminds me a lot of the 2017 Minnesota Vikings that won against New Orleans in the Minnesota Miracle with Stephon Diggs catching a long pass downfield. And I think this Vikings team could resemble that team if they can get wins in this first round matchup. But Daniel Jones and the Giants have something going with a running back in Saquon Barkley. Wide receiver group and tight end group for the Giants that is unknown to me, that I don't even know about. The Vikings, though, look like a team to me that knows how to win. They've been to the playoffs now multiple times in the last 5 seasons. And the Giants haven't been to the playoffs since 2016. So I think the Vikings have the upper hand. More playoff experience for their quarterback, more playoff experience for the other players. And I think the Vikings get the job done on Sunday afternoon. Moving on to the nightcap on Sunday. Between the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, year number 3 for him, and the Ravens. Yeah, this matchup is on Sunday night coming up. This matchup is going to be one of the most interesting ones to watch overall, just because you have the Bengals on one side of Joe Burrow, another team that has won 12 games and 4 losses, and the Ravens who've won 10 games and 7 losses. The question is, for the Ravens, who's starting quarterback? Is it Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley? Who's starting at quarterback? I think that's a big question you have to answer. On the Bengals side, you have Joe Burrow and the Bengals who went to the Super Bowl last year, a team that should make it deep this year. And I think the Bengals definitely get the win this week because at home they have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, and more. So many players the Bengals have on offense. They can just put you away early on. And they're kicking. Evan McPherson won the divisional round last year for the Bengals. And I believe he also won in the wildcard round as well, kicking field goals against Tennessee, Kansas City in the playoffs to win on walk-offs. Last year we saw multiple walk-off field goals to win games for the playoffs, and I think that's going to happen here over the next few weeks as well. But I like the Bengals up at home. Is there possible we see an upset because it's the second time in 2 weeks that these two teams are playing? It's possible, but I think the Bengals, the defending AFC champs, have the upper hand in this matchup, and I'm taking them on Sunday night. Which moves us on to our Monday night matchup. For a second year in a row, we have a Monday night game in Tampa, Florida, with the Buccaneers, Tom Brady, against the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. And here's the thing to look at. Biggest storylines coming from Dallas. Their last 8 playoff road games, they're 0-8. You look at that, and they have a winning record. They have a winning record as well. For Buccaneers and Tom Brady, at 8-9. It's Tom Brady's first time in his 23-year career he's finished with a losing season. But when it comes to playoffs, Tom Brady is a different player. The storyline's different. And I think that's how Tampa Bay is going to get the job done this week. I think the Buccaneers are going to, at home, have the upper advantage at home as the home team. Is something weird going to happen when the Cowboys snap that 8-game losing streak on the road to the playoffs? I don't know. But I think Tom Brady and the Buccaneers know they need to get a win to survive because they'll be going on the road in the divisional round and the championship if they get deep. And I think that's what's going to happen this week. I think Tampa Bay can get a win. If there's a team that's coming into the playoffs on a hot hand that I think can go win the Super Bowl, to make it to the Super Bowl of both leagues, I'm going to say it's Tampa Bay or even Kansas City. The two teams I think that have the upper hands in both leagues. They're the two teams that are good, and I think we're talking about Kansas City next week for sure. But I like Tampa Bay this week. That being said, I'll go through the Wildcard recap, predict who I'm taking. First of all, in San Francisco on Saturday, I'm taking Brock Purdy and the 49ers over Geno Smith and the Seahawks. On Saturday night, I'm reversing my pick. Earlier this week, I was thinking I'm taking the Chargers. But now I'm thinking I need to take Jacksonville to win the matchup. And I think Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence do win the matchup at home. And then moving on to Buffalo and Miami, I think Josh Allen and the Bills going to win over the Dolphins and rookie quarterback Skylar Thompson. In Minnesota, I think Kirk Cousins and the Vikings take down the Giants and Daniel Jones. In Cincinnati, in the nightcap on Sunday, I'm taking Joe Burrow and the Bengals over the Ravens, whoever starts at quarterback there. And in Tampa on Monday night, I'm taking Tom Brady and the Buccaneers over the Cowboys and Dak Prescott for the wild card round predictions. And with that being said, I hope everyone enjoyed today's predictions. Please comment below who you're taking this week in a wild card round. And also, who you think is going to win the Super Bowl all together in a few weeks. 5 weeks, give me your wild card predictions as well. And with that being said, I hope everyone enjoyed. And if you did, please remember to watch, like, and subscribe. Don't forget, tell your friends to do the same if they've not done so yet already. And also, hit that notification button below so you don't want to upload any video. And with that being said, have a nice day, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the divisional round of predictions right back here on Thursday next week. So with that being said, have a nice day, stay safe, and peace out. And bye for now, everyone. And I'll see you next week right back here for the NFL predictions, divisional round style. Have a nice night, stay safe.